The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep rumble that echoed through the vast space. Taman walked into the room with steady steps, his black diplomatic uniform crisp and clean. Around him, hundreds of alien beings turned to watch. Some had multiple eyes, others had tentacles instead of arms, and a few floated in special breathing tanks filled with glowing liquid. The human ambassador had attended many meetings here, but today felt different. The air itself seemed heavy with tension. Whispers filled the chamber in dozens of languages. Most of the aliens spoke about humans, and none of it sounded friendly. Tai Min took his place at the small human section near the back of the room. Earth was still new to the galaxy, having joined the Council only 20 years ago. The older species looked down on humans as young and dangerous. They had good reason to be worried. The Council leader, a tall being with blue skin and forearms, called for silence. "We gather today to discuss the human expansion into the Outer Rim sectors," the leader announced. His voice carried clearly through the translation devices that every species wore. A massive insect-like creature stood up from the Vorthak Empire section. Its shell was dark green and covered in sharp spikes. When it spoke, the sound was like grinding metal. "The humans have built military bases in 3 star systems without permission. These systems belong to the neutral zone." Taman remained calm even though he could feel hundreds of alien eyes watching him. He had expected this accusation. The truth was more complicated, but he knew the Council would not like the real answer. "The humans claim these bases are for research," continued the Vorthak representative, "but our scouts have seen warships and weapons platforms. This is clearly preparation for war." Murmurs of agreement came from many sections of the chamber. The Zeltari delegation, tall beings with silver skin, nodded their elongated heads. The small furry pectins squeaked their displeasure. Even the Peaceful Harmony Collective seemed disturbed by the news. Taman stood up slowly. The chamber fell silent. "Honored Council members," he began, his voice steady and clear. "Earth confirms the presence of installations in the mentioned systems. However, these are defensive positions, not offensive bases." "Defensive against what?" demanded the Vorthak representative. "There are no threats in that region of space." That was where Taman had to be careful. The truth was that Earth's military had detected something moving in the dark spaces between stars. Their sensors picked up strange energy readings and gravitational disturbances that should not exist. But saying this would only make the aliens more suspicious of human technology. "Our sensors have detected unusual activity in the region," Taman said simply. "We believe it is our duty to investigate and protect trade routes in the area." The Council leader's forearms moved in what Taman recognized as a gesture of doubt. "The human military has grown very quickly in recent years. Your species seems to have a natural talent for warfare that concerns many of our members." This was true, and Taman knew it. Humans had adapted to space combat faster than any species in recorded galactic history. Their tactics were unpredictable and effective. In the few border conflicts that had occurred, human forces had won decisive victories against much larger enemy fleets. The Zellan ambassador, a being that looked like a walking tree with glowing fruit for eyes, spoke next. "We have observed human behavior in past conflicts. Your species fights with a coordination and instinct that is unnatural. It is as if war is in your very genetics." Taman felt a small chill at those words, though he did not know why. "Humans are adaptive," he replied. "We learn quickly from experience." "Too quickly," hissed the Vorthak representative. "No species develops such advanced military tactics in just 20 years of galactic exposure. The humans are hiding something." Before Taman could respond, his wrist communicator buzzed with an urgent message. The small screen showed a priority signal from Fleet Admiral Boram on Earth. The message was brief but alarming. "Immediate consultation required. Ancient signal detected. Prep diplomatic exit." Taman's expression did not change, but his mind raced. Boram never sent urgent messages unless something serious was happening. The mention of an ancient signal was particularly troubling. Earth's deep space monitors had been picking up increasingly strange readings for months. The Council leader noticed Taman's brief glance at his communicator. "Is there something more urgent than this assembly, Ambassador?" "I apologize for the interruption," Taman said with a slight bow. "However, I have received word of a scientific discovery that may interest the Council. Our deep space research teams have detected an unusual signal from an unexplored system." The chamber erupted in suspicious whispers. The Harmony Collective's representative, a being of pure energy contained in a crystal shell, pulsed with nervous light. What kind of signal? Taman realized he was walking into dangerous territory. We are still analyzing the data, but the signal appears to be artificial and very old. Old how? Pressed the council leader. Possibly millions of years old. The silence that followed was complete. Ancient signals were rare and usually meant the discovery of precursor technology. Such findings had started wars in the past as species fought over advanced alien artifacts. The Vorthak representative's compound eyes glittered with interest and suspicion. And where exactly is this signal coming from? Taman knew he had said too much. The system coordinates were classified, and revealing them would likely lead to a galactic rush to claim whatever was there. But the council now expected an answer. The signal originates from a system in the Outer Rim, he said carefully, the same region where our defensive installations are located. The implications were clear to everyone in the chamber. The humans had not built military bases for defense against unknown threats. They had built them to guard access to an ancient alien discovery. The council leader's forearms spread wide in a gesture of accusation. So the truth emerges. The humans seek to claim precursor technology for themselves. That is not correct, Taman said firmly. Earth's policy is to share significant discoveries with the galactic community. After you have studied them first, the Vorthak representative said with what sounded like laughter. How convenient that your military bases surround this discovery. Taman's communicator buzzed again. This time the message was even more urgent. Signal source activating. Fleet moving to investigate. Return to Earth immediately. The ambassador knew the meeting was over. Whatever was happening in the Outer Rim was bigger than diplomatic discussions. Honored council members, I request a recess to consult with my government about sharing our findings. Denied, the council leader said quickly. This matter is too important for delays. But Taman was already walking toward the exit. Earth will provide a full report within 72 hours, he called over his shoulder. As the chamber erupted in angry voices behind him, Taman quickened his pace. Something ancient was waking up in the dark between the stars, and he had the feeling that everything was about to change. Dr. Haywan stared at the screen in front of her, hardly believing what she was seeing. The energy readings were unlike anything in the database. She had spent 15 years studying alien ruins and artifacts, but this signal was completely different from every known civilization. Dongwu, come look at this, she called to her colleague across the research lab. The linguist hurried over, his dark hair messy from hours of work. What am I looking at? Dongwu asked, adjusting his glasses as he studied the scrolling data. This is the signal from the Kepler 442 system, Haywan explained. But look at the pattern. It's not random noise or natural phenomena. This is definitely artificial. The research vessel New Sol hummed quietly around them as it traveled through hyperspace toward the mysterious coordinates. Captain Wu Jin had received orders directly from Earth Command to escort Haywan's team to investigate the signal. The journey would take 3 days, giving them time to analyze the data they already had. Nari, the ship's quantum physicist, looked up from her own workstation. The energy signature is impossible according to our current understanding of physics. The signal seems to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Haywan nodded grimly. That's what worries me. We've never encountered technology that can manipulate space-time like this. Dongwu pulled up a chair and began running translation programs on the signal patterns. If this is a language, it's completely unlike anything we've seen before. The structure is too complex for most known species. How complex? Haywan asked. Well, human languages use maybe 50 basic sounds. Galactic Standard has about 200. This signal uses over 3,000 distinct elements, and they seem to change meaning based on quantum fluctuations. Haywan felt a chill run down her spine. Quantum fluctuations? You mean the language itself affects reality? That's what it looks like, Nari said from her station. The signal isn't just transmitting information. It's somehow altering the space around it on a subatomic level. A voice came over the ship's communication system. This is Captain Wu Jin. All research staff report to the bridge immediately. Haywan, Dongwu, and Nari made their way through the ship's corridors to the bridge. The New Sol was a research vessel, but it was heavily armed for a science ship. Earth had learned that the galaxy was a dangerous place. Captain Wu Jin stood near the main view screen, his face serious. He was young for a ship captain, only 32, but he had already commanded 3 successful missions into unknown space. Behind him, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. "We've dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system," Wu Jin announced. "Our sensors are picking up something that shouldn't be there." The main screen showed a star system with 6 planets orbiting a dying red star. But there was something else in the system, something that made Heywan gasp in surprise. "Is that a space station?" she asked. "If it is, it's the biggest one ever built," Wu Jin replied. "Our measurements show it's roughly the size of Earth's moon." The structure was clearly artificial, but its design was unlike anything in the galactic databases. It had a crystalline appearance with thousands of faceted surfaces that reflected the dim light of the dying star. Strange energy patterns flowed across its surface like living circuits. "The signal is coming from that structure," Nari reported, checking her instruments. "But the energy output is increasing. It's like our presence is activating something." Dongwu was already working on his translation equipment. "I'm getting clearer signal patterns now that we're closer. The quantum fluctuations are stronger here. Can you translate any of it?" Haiwan asked. "I'm getting fragments. Something about guardians? No, that's not right, warriors. And something called the Final Sanctuary." Captain Wu Jin ordered his crew to maintain a safe distance from the alien structure. "Engineering, give me a full sensor sweep. I want to know everything about that thing before we get any closer." The ship's engineer, So Young, worked quickly at her station. She was responsible for the ship's advanced AI systems and sensor arrays. "Captain, the structure is definitely ancient. Material analysis suggests it's at least 5 million years old, possibly older." 5 million years? Heywan repeated. "That predates every known civilization in the galaxy." "There's more," So Young continued. "The structure is made from materials that don't exist in nature. The molecular structure is artificially stabilized using technology we don't understand." Nari's equipment began beeping urgently. "The quantum fluctuations are getting stronger. The signal is changing." On Dongwu's screen, new patterns began appearing. His translation software worked frantically to process the incoming data. "I'm getting more complete sentences now. Something about Earth? It specifically mentions Earth." "That's impossible," Captain Wu Jin said. "Earth wasn't even inhabited by intelligent life 5 million years ago." "Wait," Dongwu said, his face pale. "I think I misunderstood. It's not talking about Earth as it was. It's talking about Earth as it is now. The signal knows about modern humans." Heywan felt her heart racing. "What exactly does it say?" Dongwu read from his screen, his voice shaking slightly. "The children of the Final Sanctuary have returned. The bloodline of the warriors awakens. Beware, for the devourers stir in the spaces between worlds." The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Everyone stared at the massive alien structure on the view screen. "Devourers?" Captain Wu Jin asked finally. "That's what it says," Dongwu confirmed. "But there's more. The signal is becoming clearer. It's like the structure is waking up because we're here." So Young looked up from her station with worry on her face. "Captain, the structure's energy output is increasing exponentially. Whatever's happening, it's building towards something big." Nari's quantum sensors began showing readings that should have been impossible. The space-time distortions around the structure are growing. It's like reality itself is being warped. "Should we retreat?" Captain Wu Jin asked. Before anyone could answer, the alien structure suddenly flared with brilliant light. Energy cascaded across its crystalline surface in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The ship's sensors went wild with readings. "Something's happening," So Young reported. "The structure is transmitting a focused signal directly at us." Dongwu's translation equipment couldn't keep up with the flood of incoming data. "It's too much. The signal is overwhelming our systems." Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the light show stopped. The structure returned to its previous dim glow, but something had changed. The quantum fluctuations in the area were now synchronized in a pattern that seemed almost like a heartbeat. "Did everyone else feel that?" Heywan asked quietly. The others nodded. During the light display, each of them had experienced a strange sensation, like a voice speaking directly into their minds. The words had been unclear, but the meaning was somehow unmistakable. A warning about something terrible that was coming. Captain Wu Jin made a decision. "We're moving closer. I want a full analysis of that structure." "Sir, is that wise?" So Young asked. "We don't know what triggered that response. We need answers," Wu Jin replied. "And I have a feeling that structure has been waiting millions of years to give them to us." As the new soul began moving toward the ancient alien construct, None of them realized that their approach had activated more than just the structure's communication systems. Deep within the crystalline matrix, ancient protocols were awakening. Protocols designed to recognize one specific genetic pattern, the pattern of humanity. Across the galaxy, on distant worlds and space stations, other humans were beginning to feel strange sensations. Dreams of battles they had never fought, instincts for tactics they had never learned, a growing sense that something fundamental was about to change. The structure waited patiently as the human ship approached. It had been waiting for 5 million years for this moment. The time of the warriors had finally come. The alien structure grew larger on the view screen as the new soul approached. Captain Wu Jin kept his ship at a cautious distance, but even from several thousand kilometers away, the massive construct was impressive. Its crystalline surface reflected light in patterns that seemed to pulse with their own rhythm. Energy readings are stable, So Young reported from her engineering station. Whatever happened before, it seems to be waiting for something. Dr. Haywan studied the structure through the ship's advanced telescopes. The architecture doesn't match any known civilization. The geometric patterns are too complex, almost like they're following mathematical rules that we haven't discovered yet. Dongwu was still working on translating the signals. I'm getting more coherent messages now. The structure seems to be trying to establish a proper communication protocol with us. Any progress on those references to Earth? Captain Wu Jin asked. Some. The signals keep mentioning something called the Vanguard civilization. Apparently, they seeded multiple worlds across the galaxy millions of years ago. Earth was one of them. Nari looked up from her quantum sensors with a puzzled expression. That doesn't make sense. We found no evidence of ancient alien interference in Earth's development. Maybe we weren't looking for the right signs, Haywan suggested. If this Vanguard civilization was advanced enough to build that structure, they could have hidden their influence very well. Suddenly, the ship's proximity alarms began sounding. Something was approaching from the structure, moving too fast for conventional propulsion. Contact, called out Navigation Officer Beomseok. Something just launched from the alien structure. Captain Wu Jin immediately ordered battle stations. Weapons target the incoming object. Shields to maximum power. Wait, Haywan called out. It's not moving like a weapon. Look at the trajectory. On the screen, a small craft was approaching the new soul, but it was clearly trying to intercept them peacefully. The craft slowed as it got closer, eventually coming to a complete stop just a few hundred meters from their ship. It's not attacking, Weapons Specialist Mi Young confirmed. No weapons signatures detected. The craft was unlike anything they had seen before. It appeared to be made of the same crystalline material as the large structure, but it was flowing and changing shape as they watched. Captain, Dongwu said urgently, I'm receiving a direct communication signal from that craft. It's in perfect galactic standard. Put it through, Wu Jin ordered. A voice filled the bridge, speaking clearly in accented but understandable language. Greetings, children of Earth. I am the keeper of the Vanguard. I have waited very long for your return. The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the small craft on their view screen. This is Captain Wu Jin of the Earth research vessel New Soul. The captain replied carefully. Who are you and what do you mean by our return? I am the last guardian of the Vanguard civilization. My people created this facility as a warning beacon and a repository of knowledge. We have been monitoring your species since you first achieved spaceflight. Haywan stepped forward. You mentioned Earth being seeded. What does that mean? Your planet was chosen millions of years ago as a sanctuary. Your species was genetically engineered to serve a specific purpose, though that purpose has remained dormant until now. The words sent a chill through everyone on the bridge. The idea that humanity had been artificially created was disturbing enough, but the mention of a purpose was even more troubling. What purpose? Captain Wu Jin demanded. To be warriors against the Devourers. Your people were designed to be the ultimate soldiers, capable of fighting an enemy that exists partially outside normal space-time. Dongwu was frantically taking notes as the conversation continued. Devourers? What are they? An ancient enemy from beyond the dimensional barriers. They consume entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty space behind. The Vanguard fought them for millennia before realizing that conventional forces could not defeat them. Nari's sensors were picking up strange readings from the craft. Captain, that ship is somehow existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Our instruments can barely detect it properly. The Vanguard developed the ability to manipulate dimensional space, the Keeper continued, as if hearing Nari's comment. But even with this technology, we could only delay the Devourers, not destroy them. That is why the Warrior Project was created. Warrior Project? Haywan asked. Humanity. Your species was engineered with specific genetic triggers that would activate when the Devourers returned. These triggers would transform your people into perfect soldiers capable of fighting in multiple dimensions. The implications were staggering. If this creature was telling the truth, then every human in the galaxy was essentially a sleeper agent, programmed by an ancient alien race. How do we know you're telling the truth? Captain Wu Jin asked. Because the activation has already begun. As if responding to the Keeper's words, Sergeant Hyun Soo from the ship's Marine detachment suddenly staggered and grabbed his head. The tough Marine had been standing guard near the bridge entrance, but now he was clearly in pain. Sergeant, Captain Wu Jin called out. But Hyun Soo wasn't just in pain. His eyes had taken on a strange intensity, and when he looked up, his expression was completely different. I can see it, he said quietly. I can see the battle patterns. The tactical formations, it's like I've always known them, but I'm just remembering now. Other Marines throughout the ship were reporting similar experiences. Corporal Unji called in from the lower deck, her voice shaking. Sir, something's happening to us. I keep seeing images of battles and weapons that don't exist yet. Private Kite reported from the engineering section. Captain, I understand the ship's weapon systems now. Not just how to use them, but how to improve them. The knowledge just appeared in my head. The Keeper's voice continued calmly. The genetic triggers respond to proximity to Vanguard technology. The closer your people get to our installations, the stronger the activation becomes. You're changing us, Haiwan said accusingly. We are awakening what was always within you. The transformation is not forced. It is the natural expression of your genetic heritage. Captain Wu Jin was trying to process everything he was hearing. If this is true, why now? Why are these Devourers returning? Because the dimensional barriers are weakening. Our instruments detected the first breach attempts 3 of your months ago. The Devourers are testing the boundaries between realities, preparing for a full invasion. Nari's quantum sensors suddenly went wild. Captain, I'm detecting massive spatial distortions throughout this system. It's like space itself is becoming unstable. The Devourers' advanced scouts, the Keeper explained. They are probing this region because they have detected the activation of Vanguard technology. Your arrival here has accelerated their timeline. Sergeant Hyun-soo was no longer in pain, but his transformation was clearly not finished. He moved with a fluid grace that seemed unnatural, and his tactical awareness had increased dramatically. Sir, I recommend we prepare for contact. Whatever's coming, it's not going to be friendly. How long do we have? Captain Wu Jin asked the Keeper. Hours, perhaps days. The Devourers move quickly once they have identified a target, but your awakening is spreading. Every human in the galaxy is beginning to change. How many humans are there in space? Haiwan asked, thinking of the colonies and ships scattered across dozens of star systems. Approximately 50 million in various space installations and colonies, Dongwu said, checking his data pad. Plus the 8 billion on Earth. All of them will transform, the Keeper confirmed. But the change will be strongest in those who have been exposed to combat situations. Your military forces will adapt most quickly. Captain Wu Jin made a decision. We need to warn Earth Command. They need to know what's happening. They already know, the Keeper said. The transformation began on Earth first. Your Admiral Boram has been experiencing tactical insights that she cannot explain. Your military commanders are suddenly understanding battle strategies that they have never studied. The reality of the situation was beginning to sink in. Humanity was being transformed into something else, and an ancient enemy was returning to threaten the entire galaxy. What do we do now? Haiwan asked. You prepare for war, the Keeper replied simply. The greatest war the galaxy has ever seen. And this time you will have the weapons to win it. The transformation hit Earth like a wave spreading across the planet. In Seoul, Teacher Jin-ho was in the middle of explaining history to his students when suddenly he could see battle formations from wars that had never been fought. The knowledge came to him as naturally as breathing, tactical strategies that would work against enemies he had never imagined. Mr. Jin-ho, are you okay? Asked one of his students. Jin-ho blinked, trying to focus on the classroom around him. But the visions wouldn't stop. He could see star maps in his mind, showing defensive positions and fleet movements that made perfect sense even though he had never studied military strategy. "Class dismissed," he said quietly. "Please go home safely." Across the city, medical student Yoon Seo was studying in the university library when the change began. Suddenly, she knew things about trauma treatment and battlefield medicine that weren't in any textbook. She understood how to treat injuries from weapons that didn't exist yet, and how to perform surgery in zero-gravity conditions. Similar scenes were happening all over Earth. People in every profession were gaining knowledge and abilities that seemed to come from nowhere. But the change was strongest in those who already worked in military or security fields. At Earth Defense Command headquarters, General Chang Min stood in the Situation Room, watching reports flood in from around the planet. Every military base was reporting the same thing. Their personnel were experiencing rapid enhancement of tactical and strategic thinking abilities. "Sir," called out his aide, Major Sang-woo, "we're getting similar reports from all our space installations. Fleet Admiral Boram is requesting immediate communication." Changmin activated the quantum communicator. Boram's image appeared on the main screen, transmitted from her flagship in orbit around Mars. "General," Boram said without preamble, "something is happening to our people. I've got tactical officers who are suddenly understanding space combat at a level that should take decades to develop." "Same here on Earth," Changmin replied. "Every soldier in the Defense Force is reporting enhanced abilities. Combat reflexes, strategic thinking, even technical knowledge about weapons systems." "It's not just enhancement," Boram said grimly. "It's like we're remembering skills we never learned. My navigation officer just plotted a jump route through hyperspace using calculations he says came to him in a dream." Before Changmin could respond, another communication came in. This one was from Captain Wu Jin aboard the New Seoul, transmitting from the Kepler 442 system. "Earth Command, this is Captain Wu Jin. I have urgent information about what's happening to our people." Changmin immediately opened the channel. "Captain, report your status." "Sir, we've made contact with an alien entity calling itself the Keeper. According to this being, humanity was genetically engineered millions of years ago to serve as warriors against something called the Devourers." The silence in the Situation Room was complete. Changmin felt his enhanced tactical mind immediately begin processing the implications. "Are you certain of this information, Captain?" Boram asked. "The entity has provided proof. Our Marine detachment is already showing advanced combat abilities that they didn't possess yesterday. Sergeant Hyun-soo can now coordinate tactical movements that would challenge our best officers." Changmin looked around the Situation Room. His staff was working with an efficiency and coordination that seemed impossible. They were processing data streams and making strategic calculations at superhuman speed. "Captain, what else has this Keeper told you?" Changmin asked. "The enemy is coming, sir. These Devourers are extra-dimensional beings that consume entire civilizations. They're already probing our reality, and the Keeper estimates we have days before a full invasion begins." Admiral Boram's image flickered as she adjusted her communication array. "Days? To prepare for a war against beings we know nothing about?" "Not nothing," Captain Wu Jin corrected. "The genetic programming includes tactical knowledge about fighting the Devourers. Our people are gaining access to strategies developed over millions of years of warfare." Changmin could feel it himself. Battle plans were forming in his mind for conflicts against enemies that existed partially outside normal space. He knew things about dimensional warfare that Earth scientists had barely theorized about. "All human military personnel are to remain at their posts," Changmin ordered. "I want continuous reports on any further developments in enhanced abilities." Across the galaxy, the transformation was spreading to every human settlement. On the mining colony of New Busan, Foreman Baeom Seok suddenly understood how to coordinate defensive positions against threats that could phase through solid matter. On the trading station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Security Chief Mi Young found herself designing weapon modifications for firearms that could affect multidimensional targets. But the change wasn't limited to military personnel. Civilian humans were also transforming, each gaining abilities related to their roles in society. Engineers like So Young began understanding technologies that seemed impossible, while doctors like Yoon Seo gained knowledge of treating injuries from weapons that wouldn't be invented for decades. The transformation was accelerating. Within hours, human communities across the galaxy were operating with a coordination and efficiency that startled their alien neighbors. Human-controlled space stations began running defensive drills for scenarios that had never been tested. Human colonies started building fortifications using construction techniques that appeared overnight in their engineers' minds. On Earth, General Chang Min received reports that civilian populations were organizing themselves into support networks for an upcoming conflict. People who had never met were working together as if they had trained for years as a team. "Sir," Major Sangwoo reported, "we're getting communications from human communities throughout the galaxy. They're all reporting the same phenomena. How many humans are now affected?" Chang Min asked. "All of them, sir. Every human settlement, ship, and station is reporting transformation of their personnel." Chang Min realized the magnitude of what was happening. 58 billion humans across dozens of star systems were simultaneously becoming something more than they had been before. "Admiral Bo-Ram," Chang Min called to the orbital fleet commander. "What's the status of our space forces?" "General, you're not going to believe this. My crews are operating like they've been fighting space battles their entire lives. My weapons officers are modifying our systems using principles they say they remember from dreams. And it's all working. Working how? Our combat effectiveness has increased by approximately 400% in the last 12 hours. And it's still improving." Captain Wu Jin's voice came through the communicator again. "Earth Command, the Keeper is transmitting additional information. The Devourers have begun their approach. First contact is estimated within 18 hours. Chang Min felt his enhanced strategic mind immediately begin working on the problem. "Captain, are you receiving tactical data about these entities?" "Yes, sir. The Keeper is downloading millions of years of combat experience directly into our ship's computers. We're learning about Devourer capabilities, weaknesses, and combat patterns. Can this information be transmitted to our other forces?" "Already in progress, sir. Every human ship and station should be receiving the data within the hour." Admiral Bo-Ram spoke up. "General, I recommend we begin immediate mobilization of all human military forces. If we're about to face an invasion, we need to be ready." Chang Min agreed, but he realized that they were preparing for a type of warfare that no galactic civilization had ever attempted. "Admiral, coordinate with all human commanders. I want our forces positioned for rapid response to any dimensional incursion." "Sir," Major Sangwoo interrupted. "We're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Council." Chang Min activated the communication channel. Ambassador Taemin appeared on screen, speaking from the council chambers. "General, the council has detected massive energy disturbances throughout the galaxy. They're demanding explanations for the sudden increase in human military activity." "What did you tell them?" Chang Min asked. "The truth, that we're preparing to defend the galaxy against an extra-dimensional invasion." "How did they respond?" Taemin's expression was grim. "They think we're planning to invade them ourselves. Half the council members are calling for immediate military action against human forces." Chang Min felt his enhanced tactical thinking provide him with several options for dealing with the galactic political situation, but they all required time that they didn't have. "Ambassador, inform the council that within 18 hours they're going to understand exactly what we're preparing for. And when they do, they're going to be very grateful that we were ready." The dimensional breach opened near the galactic core with a sound that was felt rather than heard. Space itself screamed as reality tore open, revealing the void between dimensions. From that tear in the universe, the Devourers began to emerge. Fleet Admiral Bo-Ram stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Soul's Pride, watching the horror unfold on the long-range sensors. The Devourers were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They appeared as shadows that moved through space without ships, consuming light and matter wherever they passed. "All human fleets, this is Admiral Bo-Ram," she broadcast on the emergency frequency. "The enemy has arrived. Execute Protocol 7 immediately." Protocol 7 was something that had appeared in her mind just hours before, along with tactical knowledge she had never learned. Every human commander across the galaxy suddenly knew exactly what to do. The first to respond was Commander Jae-sung aboard the battleship Busan's Hammer. His ship was part of the defense fleet guarding the trade routes near the galactic rim. "Admiral, we're detecting dimensional distortions in our sector. The enemy is spreading faster than predicted." "How fast?" Bo-Ram asked, though she already knew the answer from the tactical awareness that had been growing in her mind. "They're not moving through space normally. They're jumping directly between star systems by tearing holes in reality. On planets throughout the galaxy, alien civilizations were panicking as their sensors detected the approaching devourers. The Galactic Council had tried to mobilize their combined fleets, but their ships were designed for conventional warfare. They had no weapons that could affect beings that existed partially outside normal space. The Vorthak Empire's war fleet, the largest military force in the galaxy, engaged the first wave of devourers near the industrial world of Kepler 186. Their massive warships fired every weapon they had, but the energy beams and projectiles passed harmlessly through the shadow-like entities. In return, the devourers simply touched the Vorthak ships. Where they made contact, the vessels didn't explode or burn. They simply ceased to exist, leaving empty space behind as if they had never been built. "Admiral," called out Communications Officer Dong Wu from his station. "The Vorthak fleet is gone. Completely gone. 1,200 ships destroyed in less than 10 minutes. Boram felt the enhanced tactical knowledge in her mind provide her with exactly what she needed to know. The devourers consumed matter by unmaking it at the quantum level. Conventional weapons couldn't touch them because they existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. But humans were different now. They had been changed by their genetic programming to fight exactly this type of enemy. "All ships, arm dimensional disruptors," Boram ordered. The dimensional disruptors were weapons that didn't exist in any blueprint or design manual. They were devices that human engineers had begun building as soon as the transformation started, using knowledge that appeared in their minds. The weapons generated fields that could affect multi-dimensional targets. Lieutenant Subin, piloting her fighter craft from the carrier New Incheon, was among the first to engage the devourers directly. Her small ship streaked toward a group of shadow entities that were approaching a civilian space station. "This is Lightning Leader," she broadcast, beginning attack run on devourer formation. As she fired her dimensional disruptors, something incredible happened. The energy beam struck the shadow creatures, and they reacted with what could only be described as pain. For the first time in millions of years, someone had weapons that could hurt the devourers. "Direct hit," Su Bin reported. "The target is wounded but still active." More human fighters joined the attack. Their pilots moved with a coordination that seemed impossible, without years of training together. They attacked in patterns that maximized the effectiveness of their dimensional weapons, while avoiding the devourer's touch. On the surface of Earth, General Chang Min was coordinating the global defense. Human ground forces were preparing for the possibility that some devourers might reach planetary surfaces. Like their space-based counterparts, the ground troops were using weapons and tactics that they had somehow learned overnight. "Sir," reported Major Sang-woo, "our forces in the Andromeda sector are reporting successful engagement with devourer scouts. They're taking casualties, but they're actually winning." For the first time since the invasion began, Chung Min allowed himself a moment of hope. The genetic programming was working. Humanity was becoming the weapon they had been designed to be. In the Kepler 442 system, Captain Wu Jin was receiving updated tactical data from the Keeper. The ancient alien was providing real-time information about devourer movement patterns and weaknesses. "Captain," Dr. Haewon reported from her science station, "the Keeper says the main devourer force hasn't emerged yet. What we're fighting now are just scouts." "How many scouts?" Wu Jin asked. "Approximately 10,000 entities spread across 50 star systems." Wu Jin felt his enhanced tactical awareness process that information. 10,000 scouts. If each one could destroy an entire fleet like they had done to the Vorthak forces, then the galaxy was facing a threat beyond imagination. "And the main force?" he asked quietly. "Millions of them," Haewon said. "They're waiting for the scouts to clear resistance before emerging." But the scouts weren't clearing resistance anymore. Human forces across the galaxy were engaging and destroying devourer entities. The shadow creatures had expected to face the same helpless civilizations they had fought millions of years ago. Instead, they were encountering an enemy that had been specifically designed to kill them. Admiral Boram's tactical display showed the overall battle situation. Human fleets were winning individual engagements, but they were badly outnumbered. Each victory came at a cost. "Admiral," Commander Jae-sung reported from the Busan's Hammer, "we've destroyed 3 devourer entities, but we've lost 40% of our ships. They're learning our attack patterns, that was the problem. The devourers were intelligent. They adapted quickly to new threats. The human advantage wouldn't last long unless they could find a way to strike at the main force. All human commanders, Boram broadcast, begin implementation of Protocol 12. Protocol 12 was the most dangerous strategy that had appeared in their enhanced minds. It required human forces to coordinate a simultaneous attack on the dimensional breach itself, attempting to collapse the portal before the main Devourer force could emerge. The plan required precise timing across dozens of star systems. Human ships would have to strike at exactly the same moment, creating a resonance cascade that would destabilize the dimensional barrier. Lieutenant Colonel Yejin commanded the Space Marines aboard the assault ship Tiger Bay. Her forces were tasked with one of the most dangerous parts of the mission, getting close enough to the dimensional breach to plant quantum bombs that would help collapse the portal. Marines, this is it, she announced to her troops. Everything we've trained for in the last 24 hours leads to this moment. Her Marines, including Sergeant Hyun Soo, who had been transferred from the New Seoul, prepared their dimensional combat gear. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before: board and destroy a dimensional gateway while under attack by extra-dimensional entities. Across the galaxy, human forces began moving into position. The coordination required was staggering, but their enhanced abilities made it possible. Ship captains who had never worked together operated like parts of a single machine. Ground commanders coordinated with space forces as if they had practiced the maneuvers for years. The alien civilizations of the galaxy watched in amazement as the humans, who they had considered young and unpredictable, executed the most complex military operation in galactic history. All units report ready, came the reports from commanders throughout human space. Admiral Boram looked at the tactical display one final time. In 30 seconds, every human military unit in the galaxy would attack simultaneously. They would either save the galaxy or die trying. This is Admiral Boram to all human forces, she announced. You are the finest warriors the galaxy has ever produced. Today we prove why humanity was created. Execute Protocol 12 in 10 seconds. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. All across the galaxy, humans prepared to strike at an enemy that had terrorized civilizations for millions of years. 7, 6, 5. The Devourers, sensing the coordinated movement, began emerging from their dimensional hiding places. 4, 3, 2. 58 billion humans across dozens of star systems prepared to fight as one. 1. The attack began.